Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Ila Live. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us, and of course, my colleague Lukman Shadrach for taking you through that first 1 hour. Now, this weekend saw the national dialogue on coalition governments, and it did not go as smoothly as some had predicted, with opposition parties objecting and staging a walkout. Now, this dialogue happened on Saturday over discussions of a new framework to govern coalitions. But parties, and some of them, did not see eye to eye when it comes to regulating coalitions, especially on minimum threshold requirements to join a coalition. One of those parties that staged a walkout was the African Transformation Movement, and we're now joined by the national spokesperson of the party, Zama Ntshona. Good evening, Zama. Thank you so much for joining us on Ila Live.
Good evening to you and the viewers.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. So, Zama, let's talk about what happened this Saturday. I mean, when the ATM, of course, walked into this dialogue, what were some of the objectives they were looking to achieve, walking out of there knowing that there was some sort of consensus with regards to their perspective?
Thank you so much. Well, as the African Transformation Movement, there are a number of things that we saw and we thought that these were alarming. One of those include the issue of the political parties that wanted to reduce the number of motions of no confidence in a given year. For us, that was a problem to start with, because this is a tool of accountability in a government that has exhibited for 30 years that it flouts processes, it violates the constitution, it is corrupt to the core, and it wants us to limit the number of motions of no confidence. And we said, if this is what you want to do with this national dialogue on coalitions, then it is not going to work, because we're not going to allow a situation where you say you are trying to deal with instability in council by lowering the bar so that criminals and thieves can actually thrive. The second thing was that they proposed that even though a political party does not have an outright majority, would be a 50+1, must remain because of the number of votes that the particular political party has gotten, which are more than the others. Though it did not get the majority, but it must still lead the coalition. We're saying, no, it can't be. The people of this country did not give any of us an outright majority. And therefore, if you do not want to discuss for the issue of the leadership of the coalitions, then what you need to do is to go and get votes. Get people to give you a 50+1 mandate. Without that mandate, don't come and tell us that you must become an automatic leader of the coalition. It can't be. The people of this country said, we don't trust you as individuals. We want you to come to us as a collective. That is what the people of this country in hung municipalities are saying. As the African Transformation Movement, are just not going to have that. The introduction of a threshold. What threshold? We already have a threshold. If you go to Parliament, it is on average 1:45,000. Each seat is equivalent to round about 45,000 seats. So when you want to introduce another one, what are you trying to do? It is because they know that the polls have actually indicated that the ruling party is going to dip under 50%. And when it dips under 50%, it wants to maintain by making sure that they take it up when it comes to the threshold to 2% of the total number of votes or 7% of the total number of votes, because for what they are going to lose on the upper strata of the numbers, they must make up for it on the lower end. So they raise the lower end so that for what they lost up there, they must make up for it on by raising the thresholds. We're saying it is not going to happen. You are not going to legitimize an illegitimate government that has been rejected by the people of this country. These are but three issues that we strongly feel as the African Transformation Movement were wrong about the national talks or the national dialogues or dialogue on coalition. And also, we are not going to run away from the fact that the DA sleeping in the same bed with the ANC is an unholy alliance, and we are not in our watch going to let that be.
Zama, I know we got little time left. That's why I need to ask you that very same question. There's many parties, I don't know if the ATM is one of them, that have accused the DA of being with the ANC in order to go ahead and marginalize or take away the smaller parties. Is that the view of the ATM?
Oh, yes, most definitely. We believe that they colluded and brought us to that national dialogue so that we can actually rubber stamp, sanction, and give them the right to continue with that unholy alliance. An alliance that is not based on ideology, an alliance that is not based on the prioritization of South Africa. It is only based on self-enrichment and keeping power.
Zama, would I say thank you so much for joining us here on Ila Live. I wish we had more time, but time is against us. Thank you so much for making the time for us here.
Thank you so much, much appreciated.
That's Zama Ntshona. He's the ATM spokesperson. Interesting to see how this is going to go ahead, of course, with regards to the national dialogue on coalitions. Is there going to be another one? You saw many parties walking out feeling very unsatisfied. The ATM, of course, being one of them. So interesting to see how this is going to happen. History of coalitions, though, really does not work in an effective way. We've seen it work to a certain extent in some metros, but majority of the times it really leaves a bitter taste in the mouth of us as residents of those certain metros. Do stay tuned. After the break, we'll continue with Hilal Live.